What's up guys, this is Just Team. Recently, Bitcoin has been experiencing a continuous downward trend. Amidst the dampened sentiments of many, I would like to share my personal opinion on whether Bitcoin's rise has truly ended. I will explain based on on-chain data and past cases, with a significant inclusion of my personal perspective. Therefore, please do not blindly trust my words, but rather consider them as references for your investment decisions. To begin with, let me provide the conclusion first. I still believe that Bitcoin's ascent has not come to an end. Now I will elaborate on the reasons for my perspective. If you have any questions, please feel free to come to my channel and ask or leave a comment. The chart we are currently looking at represents Bitcoin's price, MVRV and SOPR. The top graph represents the price of Bitcoin. Below that is the MVRV graph, a metric that many of us are familiar with. I interpret an MVRV value of 3 as a peak and 1 as a trough. However, interpretations may vary among individuals. Lastly, we have the SOPR graph, where a value above 1 indicates a profitable position for most participants. When examining the peaks of past bull markets, we notice that the MVRV values approached or exceeded 3. Additionally, SOPR values were consistently above 1, indicating that most participants were profitable. Currently, we observe that MVRV values are nearing 3 and SOPR values have surged before undergoing a correction. However, compared to previous bull markets, it seems slightly insufficient. This could imply that the market has not yet reached its peak. While it's possible that the market may turn bearish before reaching a new peak, I still believe that we haven't reached the highest point yet. Now, let's look at the chart showing Bitcoin's price, funding rate, and unrealized profit loss. The funding rate is a familiar term for those trading coin futures, indicating the amount one side pays the other side. For instance, if the funding rate is 0.01% and positive, it means that long positions pay short positions a certain amount every 8 hours. Regarding unrealized profit loss, I consider 0.6 as a peak and minus 0.1 as a trough. A higher value indicates that a higher proportion of participants are currently profitable. During the peaks of past bull markets, we observed a significant increase in the funding rate, indicating that most participants were building long positions. Additionally, unrealized profit loss values were close to or above 0.6, indicating that most participants were currently profitable. Subsequently, a correction usually followed, resulting in a significant price drop. Conversely, during bear markets, the funding rate turned negative and unrealized profit loss remained at very low levels. At the current juncture, we see the funding rate transitioning to a high positive value and a high level of unrealized profit loss amidst price decline. However, compared to previous bull markets, the current figures seem insufficient. Therefore, I still interpret this as the market not having reached its peak. This chart represents the percentage of long-term holders of Bitcoin, defined as those holding Bitcoin for more than 6 months. The left axis indicates the percentage. For example, around 2015, before Bitcoin started rising, we can see that the majority, around 70-80% of Bitcoin was held by long-term holders. Conversely, during the peak of Bitcoin around 2017-2018, we observed that the percentage of Bitcoin held by long-term holders dropped below 20%. Based on this observation, we can attempt to predict the peaks of bull markets by analyzing the proportion of Bitcoin held by long-term holders. Looking back at historical data, we can observe that at Circle 1, the Bitcoin price was at its peak, while the percentage of Bitcoin held by long-term holders was relatively low. The same pattern is visible at Circle 2. Examining the current point, Circle 3, we can see that the proportion of Bitcoin held by long-term holders has not decreased significantly yet. If we approach Circle 6 or its vicinity, I would consider it as a signal that Bitcoin has reached its peak. Of course, not everything aligns perfectly. The market could transition to a bear market before that point. However, based on my intuition, I still believe that the upward trend hasn't ended yet. Next, let's look at the proportion of short-term holders. The purple graph represents the percentage of Bitcoin held by short-term holders, typically ranging from 1 week to 1 month. We can observe that whenever the Bitcoin price reaches its peak, the proportion of Bitcoin held by short-term holders increases. At circles 1 and 3, we can see that the percentage of Bitcoin held by short-term holders was highest when the Bitcoin price was at its peak. Examining circle 5, we notice that the proportion of short-term holders has surged. However, when compared to past bull markets, it still doesn't give the feeling of reaching the peak. Therefore, I still believe that Bitcoin has not yet reached its peak at this point. Finally, let's take a look at the Bitcoin monthly chart. The highlighted area in green boxes represents the period around May to June each year. As we are currently experiencing a correction, Bitcoin has historically faced significant declines around May each year. However, following these corrections, Bitcoin has consistently rallied again. I believe that a similar pattern is likely to occur this time as well. Based on the reasons I've explained, I plan to buy if Bitcoin prices decline. Of course, my opinion could be wrong, but based on various on-chain data and historical comparisons, I believe there is still room for further growth. This is just my personal opinion and not financial advice, so please make your own judgments. I hope that Bitcoin moves in line with my thinking and brings significant profits to all my subscribers. If today's video was helpful, please consider subscribing and liking it. Thank you.